Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me is Jacob Litton. We're both not in the best of moods, I would say. Coming off this 27-24 loss to the Minnesota Vikings, our first loss at home this year. We're 3-1 at home. Of course, I had to come against a divisional opponent. Jacob, how are you doing today?
I am dead inside. No, it's okay. You know, this was obviously, like you already said, at home, divisional opponent in a game that we should have won. As we talked to the Vikings podcast before, and it just kind of felt like the general consensus was that we should win this game. And like I mentioned before, our best beats them at their best. So the fact that this Vikings team did not play their best football and still did enough to beat us playing, not so well, really, really crushing blow. Just not a good game for us, especially coming off the bye. Just left a really bad taste in my mouth for sure.
Yeah, there hasn't been too many more games I was more confident in than this one going into it. And I should have known we were ready for a letdown, but I just felt really good about that. I think we need to stop going on these other people's podcasts because it seems like when we do that, this Commanders we went on, right?
Yeah, right.
Bad news. We did Tampa. This year was all right, but last year, the first time, bad news. And then the Vikings, like every time I just ruined it for you. Now, I know you're superstitious. I just ruined it for you, but we'll have
I'll
to
be
do the
canceling
Vikings
all
again.
scheduled appearances. So
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work when they come on our podcast, but it's when we go on their podcast
we can cancel their appearances too. Then
just have us talk, live in our own little bubble here.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Safe zone.
Yeah. Is that the end of the blueberries now? Is the superstition over? Can they go to the silver pants now?
If they were ever going to try out the silver pants, now's the time to do it.
Yep. I'm with you on that. So we'll see if they give up on it or if they're going to keep going. So not many transactions to talk about over the weekend. Just the elevated Ty Summers from the practice squad going into this one. We got Terry on back in this game. Obviously, that turned out to be pretty big for one play, at least in this one. And yeah, not much else. We're going to have some transactions this week, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of necessary transactions now. A lot of moving parts, some injuries, some different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, not ideal. That is for sure. All right, Jacob. I think for each of these units, we're going to have our gripes. Correct. Let's start with the special teams because I have plenty in this department. So, why don't you start there, and then I'll chime in.
Where do you want me to start with the special teams? What my biggest gripe was? Do you just want me to point out these highlights of the things that went wrong? How should we do it? Usually, we don't have as many things to talk about here.
Yeah. Now you go with whatever your feeling is, and I'll chime in.
Okay. Well, we'll just start off like this. Jack Fox, 5 punts, 238 yards. He had one where we pinned him inside the 10. It's one of the few times we're able to slow them down and stop them is when they were inside their own 10-yard line. So shouts out to Jack Fox for that. Jake Bates, 3 for 3 on extra points. Only 1 for 2 on field goals, and that's because we had a field goal blocked. That's just the tip of the iceberg for what went wrong with the special teams. The blocked field goal that they then returned, resulted in a touchdown for them, right? And then, the other notable special teams plays is just we could not stop them, on the kickoffs. I don't know what was going on with the kickoffs again, but it was just like, they had the very first kickoff return that they had, huge kickoff. They got down to the 36-yard line, and then that's, short field for them, allowed them to score. And then they had one that they took all the way to the house, and lucky for us, they called it back to a penalty. And then, you flip that around.
Penalty to me, too.
Yes.
There was a hold there, but, man, if it was against the lines, I'd be pretty... It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't.
I mean, he's inside the pads. He can't get away, but, that's hard for the refs, too, to be able to see that confidently enough to call that during that fast of a play.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, I guess it was a hold, but you probably could pick half of them out there that are holding, or But then you
Yeah.
flip that around, like they had a really good showing on their special teams, but even our kick return, like we're not doing anything on kick return, and the punt
Mhm.
returns that we're getting, we're really not returning the punts, right? That's most of the problem is
Yep.
that we're just not returning the punts. Khalif had 2 punt returns in this game. I think they had what? They had 4 punts. We ended up getting 2 returns, if you want to call
Yeah.
them that. I mean, that was the one Khalif probably should have fair caught it, but it seemed like he was trying to make something out of nothing. He got like a yard or something return, and then he had one, decent return. But yeah, I mean, just ugly on special teams.
Yeah. Well, the biggest, I mean, obviously the field goal block was the biggest turning point, right? Because we turned what could have been 3 points for us. They get great field position, and then they end up scoring on that. So I mean, that was a huge turning point. But honestly, I think what was just as big is we go down and score, and then we immediately give them a very short field, and then they score a touchdown, and the crowd was like, I mean, you could tell on TV the crowd was super into it. We go down and score right away. They're we they're gonna be really loud, screw up JJ. And as we talk about when we get to the defense, when we pin them on their side, they weren't nearly as effective as far as getting points out of the play. And it was like we almost gifted them a touchdown. The defense tried their best, and we really got them to a 3rd and long on that first drive too, and we still couldn't go. But yeah, it was, I don't know, whatever you believe in momentum. I believe in momentum. I believe that there's a huge like ebb and flow in a game, and I know certain people don't really see it that way, but I do. I think that there's confidence that goes with momentum and just like those swings, and you get a rookie quarterback down by 2 scores, the game's different, but it just didn't happen. So I I think those 2 big plays are huge turning points. If don't if one of those 2 things doesn't happen, probably still, even the long return at the beginning, if we don't get that field goal block, we probably end up winning that game, to be honest with you, if we make the kick. Even if we don't make the kick, we might not let them score because they're still, they returned that 41 yards, that blocked field goal. They went 41 yards. That's a huge turning point in that game. For a game that ended by 3 points, it might have been just enough for us to switch it. So
Right. And
it's
that was on a
just,
long drive. I mean, that, we had even, talk about the momentum. That was a long drive. We were getting down there, and then, we kind of stalled. It was like, at least we're going to get some points out of this. It would have been 24-20 at that point. So, we're
yeah.
driving, we're moving the ball a little bit more effectively. We get down there, and then to have it blocked, and then all of a sudden, yeah, they started that drive on our 26-yard line. And the defense
Hmm.
held them to a field goal, but then instead of it being 24-20, all of a sudden 3 minutes of game clock goes by, and now you're down 27-17. You're down 2 scores. So, yeah,
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
good.
No, no, no. And I mean, it's essentially a 6 point switch right there. Yeah. It's just, yeah, it was tough. And the thing is that, like, if this is a one off, then you'd be like, okay, but we've had pretty poor special teams play all season. I don't know if it's because we've had injuries down at that bottom part of the lineup and we're shuffling guys in and out of there. But I mean, for a team that really values special teams like the Lions, it's been pretty disappointing this year.
Not so much in terms of the field goal group, I guess, but it definitely has been on the kickoff teams, on the return and the
Yeah.
protection. At
Yeah.
both kickoff, both ways. It's not cutting it.
Hmm. Nope. No, we need it'd be nice to get some explosives on the kick return game. I mean, it's been fine. We've been pretty consistent about getting it up to around the 30, which there's some value in that. We're not getting stuck around the 20, but at the same time, you could see when those what those big returns did for Minnesota, right? They got them way down there, and it gives you momentum, short field. You're already in field goal position, and you're able to punch it in from there, and it puts them on their heels a little bit, especially the defense.
Yeah, that's why you return the kick, right? You return those
Yeah.
kicks, you get maybe 3 or 4 chances a game. Hopefully, you don't even get that many if you're not giving up points,
Hmm.
but you get a handful of chances. You return those kicks because you're hoping that you break one off and then you get to midfield or past midfield. Have we made it to midfield on any kick return?
We've had one where I don't think we've got up to the past the 50 on any of them.
Right.
I think
I
we
can
got
only
in the
think of one
40s.
decent return, right? And I don't think we made it to the 50.
Yep. Yep. You're right. And I mean, is it time to put Khalif back there? I mean, you have Khalif and, Vaki, because I mean, they're automatically kicking it to Sailors. Wherever they're at, they're just kicking it to Sailors. And Sailors is just not dangerous. So I don't know. They were kicking it to Craig when Craig was back there. So I don't know. It uh is just disappointing. So let's move on to the defense. Where you want to start here?
I mean,
Mm,
you know, let me just say what I want to say. We don't have to start in a specific spot here, but I
Yeah.
don't think that this was a bad game from our defense. It wasn't a good game, but I don't want to call this a bad game. We did stop them in certain situations. You take 3 or 4 plays out of this, and most of them were third downs. That's always been
Hmm.
the story. It seems to be these third down plays.
Yep.
I think on 2 of their touchdown drives, hang on 1 second here.
I got them. The first two
Yeah.
touchdown drives, they had 3rd and 9s,
Yeah,
both of
third and
them.
9, 14-yard catch from Aaron Jones, and that was on a screen, which, you know what?
Hmm.
That was kind of a nice play. They got out there, they put the blocks on them, they got down there. You can live with that one. But then the second drive, I mean, they had one good run from Jones, and then just a couple short yards plays here and there, barely moving the ball. And then this is another 3rd and 9, and that one was a 30-yard catch by Addison
Yep.
over Mollett, and that one was not even a great ball by McCarthy. I mean, it was kind of underthrown, or they could have scored a touchdown there. But both of those 3rd and 9, we give up the first down, and then they score on the next play.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
that's just been the story this season, it feels like, is for whatever reason on these third downs, either we're not dialing in the right play or we're just not executing.
Hmm. Yep. No, it's like not even like it's 3rd and 1. It's 3rd and 9. It's long. You know what I mean? And yeah, you expect to get busted every once in a while, but even on some plays like this year, we've had like 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 15, and we've let them get like 10 or 12 yards, and then they've gone for it on 4th down. And that can't happen. And the thing that really irks me about it is that they specifically talked during the bye week. We looked at 3rd downs, and
Yeah.
we're going to identify some issues, and nothing changed. These are game changing plays. We stopped them on that first drive, 3rd and 9. That's 3 points instead of 4 points. I mean, instead of 7. So that's a 4 point difference. I mean, obviously that's the spread of the game. You don't know if the game's going to play out the same, but you could see if this, it is like literally 1 or 2 plays here or there that, I mean, the game is that tight that we could make a difference and one here. Go back to what you said about, the defense, out of the 3 units, this is probably the one that probably played the best, I'd say. They were put in rough spots by the other 2 units multiple times. The fumble
Right.
by, you know, Dave Montgomery, and then that long kick return, and then also the punt block. I mean, they were put in some bad spots. However, they had chances to get out of it, and they didn't do it. So, they're culpable for this loss as well. The thing that probably disappointed me even more than the 3rd and 9s and all that is letting Aaron Jones run for almost 9 yards a carry. For a team that's struggling to run, he averaged 8.7 yards per carry. He had 9 carries for 78 yards. And
Right. And then got hurt.
it,
If he hadn't gotten
yeah,
hurt, I mean,
yes,
it would have potentially gotten much worse because for whatever reason we're not seeing it coming. I
I,
don't understand what happened with that.
he did a lot of cutback runs. I'm telling you, we are not holding that edge correctly on the back end, or we're over pursuing. It's happened. It happened in the Bears game. It's happened in multiple games this year, and that's exactly what happened to Aaron Jones. He they're sealing off the edge, and Aaron Jones is going around the side. Not much of it is up in between the guards. It's not there. It is always a misdirection in some way, and we are over pursuing. At least from my eyes when I see it. I mean, I could be wrong because I'm not like looking at every play, but that's just the way I feel it is. When you look
I
at
would
these
agree.
stats, you would think you look at these stats, you'd think we'd win. Held McCarthy to 143 yards passing, 14 for 25, threw a pick. Really throw 2 picks if we didn't have that stupid penalty. Um,
Right. 5
you
sacks.
know, yeah, 5 sacks. I
Sacked
mean,
him
we
5
did
times.
everything. Yeah, we did everything that we needed to do against them. Yeah, the defense played well enough to win this game. I'll say that. Like, did they play their best game? No. Could they have done a couple things here or there to change the tide and still won? Like, if they played lights out, like held them, don't give up those big long third and longs, we'd probably win this game too. So they've had some issues, but they also held Justin Jefferson 6 catches for 47 yards, and the touchdown pass that he had, that the touchdown pass that he had was a really nice catch. It was a really nice throw too.
Right. I mean, Amik was right. He was in coverage. He was right on top of him. Real quick before we get too far away from it, though, I just want to point out because Aaron Jones on the long run that he had when he cut back upfield, the people that over pursued and came too far down, that was Brian Branch and Anzalone. Those two were both the ones that cut on the outside, crashed down, and bit way hard, and allowed him to just cut back upfield. And there was something, I don't know if you noticed it, but Brian Branch just looked sluggish to me this game. Something felt off. Coming off the bye week, and he, obviously didn't get to play before he had the suspension and everything. I was anticipating him to come in with much more fire. And, he had a couple close plays that could have been big hits, but just didn't land. So, I mean, he was there, but something just didn't feel right with Branch in this game.
Yep. Our friends over at Let's School said that McCarthy only went with 143 probably because short fields, and that is correct because we've had that situation with Goff. I remember in the Titans game where he had like less than 100 yards, but we scored 50 points because we kept getting a short field, and that's correct. But I'll say this, that he was still 14 for 25. I mean, that's nearly 50%. We played well enough, and he didn't even, I mean, I know he had the rushing touchdown, and that was a really good play. But other than that, I could live with the way we played in that game. I'll say that. I think we played fine to do that.
You take away those 2 passes, and he's got less than 100 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Like you said, 5 sacks. We had 9 QB hits. Terry and Arnold got his first pick. I know the boys over at Let's School will probably argue with that. That's the second game in a row that we've had like this simultaneous catch interception thing. I've never seen anything like that in my life, and we've had it in 2 games back to back.
I mean, he stole it off his hip. What do you think? Like, I mean, if you're trying to be unbiased, do you think, because they're like a simultaneous catch goes the offense. Obviously, it's hard to be impartial here, but it was not simultaneous. I mean, it bounced off his hip, and Terrion's the one that got it. They wrestled for it on the ground, sure.
Yep.
He gets both hands on it first and is the one. I mean, really, if he wasn't there, Naylor wouldn't have caught it because he wouldn't have been able to maintain, through the ground. Because that was another thing, is that Terrion had the ball, both hands on it, and hit the ground. And if the ball had moved, they would have just ruled it incomplete.
Yeah, I think the difference here in the simultaneous, it's the same as like the previous one. The receiver bobbled it, and our guy came in at the right time, had more of the catch. The receiver's hands in there, but at no point would I'd say the receiver is holding onto the ball. I'm totally biased, so that's the way I see it, that that it was intercepted. If it happens against the Lions, maybe I argue something different, but I think I think they're called how they like. Common sense wise, I think you should call that. Like, it wasn't
NFL
truly a
refs
50-50.
use common sense to make
I would
these calls.
say, it was 70. I think it was 75-25, maybe 80-20. Like both of those, the last play that gets the Bucks, and then this, that, so that call went our way. That was like the long discussion. They said, after what words did they say after a true? He said like a true discussion. Like, what does that even mean? Like, does that
I
mean
didn't hear that?
I have to go back and play it because it sounded like a true discussion or something like that. It made me imply that sometimes they're up there just not talking about the play, and
Usually
they're
they're
like,
just
"Hey,
asking
let's
what
just
you're having
act
for
like we're
dinner."
talking. Like, let's pantomime that we're talking and really engaged, but really we already know what the play is going to be called." So
that's why they're not mic'd up, or their mics aren't turned on, so you can't hear just the bull crap they're saying.
Exactly. What do you think about the Justin Jefferson catch, not catch? Do you think we caught a break there?
Yeah, I can't believe that they ruled that one back. I mean,
yeah.
Does the ball move a little bit? Maybe. It's kind of really hard to tell, but they called it a catch on the field, right? I mean, and that was on 3rd down too, so that was a huge break for us. I did not think that they were going to overturn that.
I agree.
I didn't sometimes it's easier for me to be impartial about stuff, and I mean that I would have left that as is. That should have been a catch.
Yeah, I was like, why is Dan? I mean, I get it why Dan Campbell's throwing. It was why he threw the challenge flag at that point. That's a huge play in there. You're gonna hope for something that shows in a replay. They're gonna have some sort of enhanced view that's gonna show some end of the ball hitting the ground. They shouldn't have overturned it. They ruled it a catch on the field. I didn't see anything in any of those replays that led me to believe otherwise. However, had it been called not a catch, I don't think there was anything to prove that it was a catch either. But
Right.
since they
Right.
ruled it a
One of
catch,
those.
I think they should
Yeah.
have kept it that way. So for all of us Lions fans that think that we constantly get jobbed, I could tell you two things. Number one, you look at a play like that where we got the benefit of the doubt. Number two, if you ever think that we're only getting jobbed and no one else feels that way, go to our YouTube comments on any of the shorts that Jacob posts, and you'll see like everything is like, you get the jerk that says, well, we still won the game. Like it's sub commentary. We're just throwing the replay out there. And second, you'll get like the Lions got every other call in this game. It's about time we get one call. We'll get, you get stuff like that. So it's
I can never tell if they're
eye-opening.
talking to me. Like their comments come like right away. I'm like, are you talking to somebody else that commented, or like what? What are you directing this
Yeah.
hate towards me for? I didn't even say anything. I just posted the play.
I know.
Like the roughing the passer thing.
From,
We didn't mention that yet. With Jack
Yeah.
Campbell, like, I put that out there just because that wasn't roughing the passer. I mean, that was a bad call, but then you still got
Yeah.
people on there arguing back and forth and whining and like, oh yes, what a dirty hit.
Yeah,
And it's like, what are you talking about?
See, the
What could
thing
he do
is that like,
differently?
yeah, and sometimes there's like, okay, they're just protecting the quarterback or whatever. But the thing is on that play, like to me, the penalty is if you're driving with your full body, like you're basically upending him and his shoulders drives JJ to the ground. And that doesn't happen. If you look, Campbell's like lands on his knees and like, he is
With
not
one
putting
arm
the
out.
brunt of his, and with his arm out catching him. Like, I know they want you to go to the side, but that's impossible in that scenario. And there was no helmet contact in there. To me, that was maybe that's the correct call, but I don't want my football called like that. I don't think that should be called a penalty. I've seen other plays where they'll pile drive you into the ground. Yeah, okay, we don't want to put all that extra hit on there, and even that, like some of that stuff, I just want to be able to play football, and I'd like to be able to see that. But if they're going to take out, they want to keep these quarterbacks in play, and I get it. You want to take some of those hits out, but I just don't see what Jack Campbell could have did different in that moment.
That's another time where you'd like to hear the ref's explanation. Like if he just like in his mind, he thought that he used his body, the body weight thing. Like he used his body weight and like, bore down on him or whatever. Like I guess if that's what they saw and what they thought, then that's why they throw the flag. When we're looking at replays, you can see that's not the case. It just looks like a clean play. So
that's
we'll
why
never know.
I truly think that those plays should be reviewable. Like those are huge plays, automatic first downs. Those are just gigantic.
But with that being
plays.
said, you had the rules analyst on the broadcast saying, "Yeah, no one likes it, but it is roughing the passer. That is,
Yeah,
like
no,
how."
Yeah, no, I get it, but I still think like all those plays should be. Those are like that, and it shouldn't be like a few years ago when they said you could review pass interference and they never overturned any of them because they were too proud, like to have a ref. Like my feeling is this is how they should do it. They should have a referee is not aware of anything that's on the field, isn't aware of what down it is, isn't aware of what the play's originally called, isn't aware of anything. He just watches the play and says, is it a penalty or is it not a penalty? Like, that's the way it should be done. And they could do it really quickly and then come back in because, when you have like those penalties where is the ball moving forward or all that, they should know what the original call is. They should just call it and then you live by that call. That's the way that it should be for me. I
suppose, but then what do you do on those situations where they're like, God, I don't know, that's 50-50.
Right. No,
do you just go with this one guy's decision? Just like, you know what, I'm going to say,
well,
is he going to flip a coin in the booth and say,
but I would say that he's got the best. I mean, he could see it from almost every angle. He could see it from like 7 different angles and slow it down and do whatever he wants. No one on the field has that, and I don't know. I mean,
you're
I guess
talking about just in terms of penalties?
Yeah,
not like
I don't know.
for catches or because, you know, like we just said with the Justin Jefferson thing, because they ruled it a catch on the field is probably why they just
Yeah,
went with it because
I
you
know.
can't overturn it. But if you're fresh to it and you don't know what it was called and you just got to say, is that a catch or not? How do you really make that? Like, I mean, kind of was, kind of wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that situation would have its own problems, but I just feel like there shouldn't be any bias about what the call was originally to see what the person thinks of it. I wouldn't want that bias thrown in there. And I'm not saying that every play should be reviewed and we should be sitting there, but at the
Right.
same time, if you're going to review turnovers, some of those are just as, if you have a 3rd and 9 and get hit with either a pass interference penalty that's questionable or, that, I mean, that's essentially a turnover, right? Because you're going to force them to punt. And that's a potentially a huge play. Well, you think about, the when we gave up, we Amik Roberts had held Justin Jefferson, and then we got an interception right on that play. That's a turnover play that can't be reviewed or whatever. So I mean, I think to me, I
He
would
also
add
was
a
holding him,
challenge.
though.
I would add a coach's challenge, and then they could challenge any of those plays, and then if it's really obvious, like say, like that offsides a couple weeks ago or last week, they
Right.
could, the New
Right.
York could come in and say, hey, that's a penalty.
That, back to what you had originally mentioned about Justin Jefferson, that was the only reason I wanted them to throw the challenge flag is the reaction from the sideline. If you notice, right after the play happened, the sideline is like going like, let's go, get to the ball, snap it, snap it.
Mm-hmm.
Their reaction was like, okay, we need to take a look at this.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be another
Yeah.
one of those things where they get the play off and then we see the replay and the ball's like rolling on the ground for a minute before he even touches it.
Yeah, no, you're always holding your breath for a little bit. And then when they go to commercial, you're always hoping like, oh, we have this new definitive replay that completely shows that, what you wanted called. I it was I thought it was a fairly good called game though. Like I know there's calls that went both ways. Vikings fans
Right.
may feel different, may feel like Lions got more. I think that there was calls that went either way that could have went, it could have went another way. So in no way did anything I think the refs called change the outcome of that game. What happened in
Right. At
between?
least this is not like the Kansas City thing where we can pinpoint like
Yeah,
2 or 3 of these and say like that really made such a big difference that, it
yeah,
altered the game. You can't
right.
really say that,
Yep,
from our perspective, I guess, on this. I don't know if
yep,
the
I
Vikings
agree.
fans feel differently, but I don't know.
Hmm.
Off the top of my head, I don't really know exactly what.
Yeah, I think that if I was a Vikings fan, I'd have a legitimate gripe about the Justin Jefferson catch.
That's not a
That'd
flag,
be
though. That's a reviewable.
yeah.
I mean, yes, it
No.
sucks, but
Yes.
I meant in terms
Yeah.
of like what penalties, how they called the game. We had more penalties called on us than they did.
They did. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We gave them 5 first downs from penalties in this game. Like
Right.
that's not a recipe for success. We had 10 penalties for 76. Like when you said, in your keys to victory, we just need to play our game. It's like they heard that and said, nope, we're going to do the exact opposite. We're not going to
Yeah.
run the ball. We're not going to stop the run. We're going to commit a bunch of penalties. We're not going to play complimentary football. It was the opposite. You jinxed us. It's all your fault.
I did. I think I did
Yeah.
because I was like, I want to play it safe. I'm just going to say, if we just do our thing, we're going to be fine. And I stand by what I said 100% of the time. If we had just played our game and stuck to our guns, we would have been okay. We almost
Mhm.
escaped this one with a win anyway, despite everything wrong that happened.
Yeah.
But this game up and down was just so uncharacteristic. That's, I said it before, 9 times out of 10, we will beat this team. Don't let this be
Yeah.
one of those times where we're messing around, get caught slipping. And that's exactly what happened. How many times has Amon-Ra dropped touchdown passes? How many field goals have blocked since David Montgomery with the fumble? Just all these things that don't ever happen to us all happen in the same game against a divisional opponent.
That Dave Montgomery fumble was extra painful because that was like a 3rd and 9 where we were just running
that we
it
ran.
to give us space. He gets the first down. You're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden the ball shots out. What makes it worse for me is I was, working during this game. The boys are on the other side of the wall from me watching the game in the basement. Their stream is a little bit ahead from me. So I knew he fumbled it before I could hear him. They're like, oh no. And I was like, oh God.
That's the worst,
God.
right?
It's
And then you're watching
terrible.
the play and you see him break open. You're like, wait a minute.
I was like, maybe I just read their reaction wrong, but no, I knew I didn't read. I can read them. They're pretty obvious with their reactions. Bradley went stomping upstairs and he had an emotional day yesterday.
I don't blame him.
Before we get off the defense here, we talked about third down. The official stats are 4 for 12, but we gave them 2 first downs that were third downs on penalties. The illegal contact on a Meek, Justin Jefferson, and then on a 3rd and 1, Aleem McNeil went offsides. However, when we go 4 for 12, we already talked about the first was a 3rd and 9 we gave up. The second, a 3rd and 9. The fourth one, a 3rd and 8, which was the JJ scramble for a touchdown. And then the last one was a 3rd and 5, and that was on their last drive of the game, and that's what iced the game, that 3rd and 5. So, those ones that they got weren't even 3rd and shorts, and there was killer, just killer plays. I mean, I don't expect us to be perfect at third down, but yeah, let's stop 3rd and longs. We should have a much better percentage on this. So it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, that's tough. Did not see much out of Aleem this game. You just mentioned him, he had that offsides, but I didn't see him making an impact very often. And, if you blinked, you might have missed Tyleik Williams. He only played 11 snaps in this one.
Yes, I know. That's not a good sign. I mean, I know Aleem's back, but the fact that he could only get on the field for 11 snaps.
I don't understand, just one more thing on the defense here. I don't understand what Tyler Lacey brings that makes Shep want him to be on the outside so much. He lines up outside edge very often. I don't have the snap count in front of me to see exactly, but he's a bigger
31 snaps to Muhammad's 30.
But I feel like he's on the outside more than Muhammad is. When Muhammad lines up, Muhammad's usually over the tackle or on the inside, so that maybe Derek Barnes or somebody lines up out there. They're in bigger packages. But when Tyler Lacey is there, Lacey's out wide, almost like Hutch. And I don't understand exactly what he's not fast enough to break down. I know on one of the McCarthy runs, he was the one chasing him from the other side, and I knew there was no chance he was going to get there. But it just feels to me like Muhammad should be on the outside more. So I don't know exactly what they're seeing or what Lacey. Obviously, he's a bigger body, but is that what we really want, to be that far on the outside? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I haven't paid that much attention to that, especially in this game. Like I said,
he's a big dude. He's hard to miss out there, especially when he's
I know that,
chasing
but I mean,
from the other side.
Yes,
right. No, I just didn't know if you would notice if it's just in my head or if that's really happening.
Edge. I think they want a big edge, and they have Davenport when he's out there. He's doing the same thing. They want a big edge that can push
Davenport
and
can
hold
crash
that
and
edge.
push that tackle back into the quarterback's lap, and Lacey has not shown that he can do that.
No, but that's not what they asked from that guy out there. That's not what Shep wants, whether you agree with that or not. But that's just not what Shep wants. He wants someone that holds that edge. Huh?
You think
I don't think he just wants someone to hold that edge and just kind of use his power and push towards the quarterback, and don't allow the quarterback to get to the outside on that side, or don't let the run game get around the edge. That's what I think he wants on that.
So just take up space.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. All right. Let's move to the offense before you blow a gasket over here. Goff didn't play bad in this game. 25 for 37. He just ended up on his back too much. 5 sacks, lots of pressures. Pass for 284, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he didn't do bad, but the rushing game was abysmal. It was
this is another one. The stats kind of lie when you look at, you think Goff 25 for 37, 284, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You think that's, a decently good game. We probably did all right. No, not really. And I mean, even on some of these completions, the ball was thrown pretty quickly just because he felt, even when there was no pressure, he felt the pressure coming. And on some of these throws, the ball was not coming out cleanly at all. I mean, he was still making some of these completions, but the ball was not coming out clean for Goff. And after that first drive, we moved the ball really well, and then it just seemed like after that, it was tough to get anything going.
Yes, it was. It's like they scripted that first drive really well, and then we just could never get anything going. We were running screens. They had Laporta screens on that first drive, which I want to see run more, because I think he is so good with the ball yards after catch.
We saw it. You saw it here, carrying people
Yeah,
on this way to the end
exactly.
zone.
Yep. Yeah, and then that fourth down play, which was a touchdown. It's like we need. I just want to see more of that. So I'll ask you the question now because I had it later on. Are you unhappy with the way Morton's calling the game? Are you unhappy with Morton? Like, I don't know how to put it, but do you want to see the games called differently? Do you think that that's what's going on here?
When I dissect these things, so on the surface, no, I don't want to put the blame on Morton. But when I dissect these things and I do start to look at film and I start trying to break things down a little bit more, it really just seems like some of these routes that we're running are just not working. They're not at the great times. It's almost, I don't know exactly how to put it here. So, like, you're playing chess, you're making your move in anticipation of what the other guy's doing, and it's like we're guessing wrong most of the time. That's just what it feels like, is that the routes that we're calling, the plays that we're calling, we're running it right into what the defense is doing. Like we're giving them exactly what they're expecting. And I don't know if it's just that our offense has become easier to read, but I mean, this is not just in this game. We have had several drives stall just because it's like, we're not moving the ball well. The runs, when we're calling runs, seem to run right into the defensive game plan. We're not, which is that Morton's fault? Is it the offensive line not executing? Is the reason that we've had success before just because of the team or the players that we have being explosive? There's a lot of variables of this. I would like to see something change with the play calling with Morton. You look at some of these, these blitz packages that they're coming up with, and then you look at the play when Goff, I mean, we can look in the game film, like when Goff is under pressure, when they're sending blitzes, even if Gibbs picked up the blitz, there's nobody going to be open. There's nobody open on most of these routes that they're running. And there's a handful of them, of course, that somebody's going to break free, but it's taking too long to develop. It's like, why are we running these sort of routes, especially in the third and fourth quarter when we've seen that we're not holding up against the defense? So, yes, on that, it is frustrating, and I would like to see something change. But I'm not ready to just say, this is just like after the Green Bay loss, right? Where everyone's like, get Ben Johnson back. What did we do? This offense sucks and this and that, And in a lot of ways, this feels like the Green Bay loss, right? Just because the offense did the same sort of thing. The offensive line was getting eaten alive, and we're not moving the ball.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel, though? I mean, are you thinking this is Morton? Do you think this is just Brian Flores' game plan? A little of both.
I think I would not pin this all on Morton. I'll just stand right there. Do I think he's doing a perfect job? No. Do I think it's a little bit of everything? Yes. I think our offensive line has he played a huge part in this game. Not being able to handle the stunts was huge. I know that Arif talked about that, them running stunts all over the place, and we just didn't handle it very well. And keeping Gibbs in to block, Gibbs was getting blown up, and it's the last thing we want to do is let him just get smacked, 12 to 15 times a game when he's not getting the ball. I mean, if he's getting hit, I want to have the ball and have a chance to do something. He's just getting hit in the backfield. And it seemed like every time that Gibbs was back there, they were running. They knew that they could do it. They weren't as when Monty was back there, they knew that Monty could hold up. Monty's a better blocker than Gibbs. So I think that was part of their game plan. If they don't, I mean, the other option would be just to send Gibbs out and run some fast screens because if they're sending if they're sending extra people in, we might have been able, that means we got a free runner. However, Gibbs was 3 catches for 3 yards, so we weren't doing that. This when you mentioned the Green Bay thing, this is exactly how I felt about the Green Bay game. And that to me came down to the offensive line. And a lot of this came down to the offensive line here too. And now that Mahogany's going to be out for a bit, that's very scary to me. As far as, what's this going to mean for pass protection, number one. Because I think with running, I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be able to keep it up. But I think with pass protection, you know, Awosika is not as good, and we don't need people coming up the middle. Now, I think more people are going to try to run stunts on us because of what they saw with Vikings. Not everybody's going to have, the people to do it like the Vikings do, and the defensive scheme to do it. I will also say that we've had Flores' number every time, and Flores is a very good coach. So you expect at some point to get a rebound. to me, this is a little bit of that rebound. He had our number this time. I expect us the next time we play them to be able to, put our stamp back on it. We're gonna have to do it on Christmas Day in their house, but I think we could do it. And I'm not, not thinking Minnesota's all of a sudden better than us. I really like we were, only lost by 3, and I think that we really didn't play our game. Not taking anything away from Minnesota. They beat us. They play better than us. We lost that game, but we could have if we just clean up our own stuff, as Dan Campbell says, then we probably win that game.
My concern though is that, with the Green Bay loss, that was at Green Bay and it was week 1. The offensive line is not meshing together very well. This,
Yep.
we've already got them established together. We're at home and we're off a bye week. There's no excuse for not having that game plan ready to go and not having everybody on the same page.
Yep.
I know you already mentioned it, but Gibbs plays 42 snaps and 15 of those you were pass blocking. You absolutely cannot do that. And you only let him carry the ball 9 times. That should never happen. I think he carried the ball 9 times in the Green Bay game, too. You got to get the ball in his hands. And you know what? If they're showing that they're blitz on the inside, like they did very frequently, and Gibbs is the one back there, motion Gibbs out and let's see what they're going to do. Let's see how they adjust. You could have did it one time and just saw how they played that. Do they still blitz up the middle, or do they, do they drop somebody? Because a lot of what they were doing, they're lined up. It wasn't like they were exotic blitzes. But I mean, they're lining up, they're showing pressure up the middle, and then a lot of times they were having Van Ginkel or Grenard drop back into coverage on one of the ends just to kind of protect against some of those quicker plays or those hitch routes, those things that we like to do. And I mean, you saw it right away. That's how they were going to play defense. And I did not see us change up anything. I didn't see us start calling anything differently. We weren't moving stuff around. We weren't using motion. We weren't, like I said before, JMO, give him the ball on the end around. I know we tried to screen. It was like 3rd and 15, though. We tried to screen past to Jameson Williams. The ball got thrown behind him. It got blown up right away. I just don't think we tried enough. We didn't reach into our bag and pull anything out of this one. We kind of were just like, this is the game plan. This is what we decided. This is what we're going to stick to it. Hey, we know it's not working, but we're just going to keep hammering away. And it was close. It was still a close game. It just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, we got pounded out. I think I texted you probably a couple times. We lost the line of scrimmage on both offense and defense. And
yes,
that's very unlike us. Like usually we want to just pound and just own that line of scrimmage. We didn't. And I would have liked to see more jumbo packages and just I don't care. I'm going to trust Amon-Ra to get open, especially against their corners. He could have got open. Just give Goff an extra second and we could start doing, getting our offense going. And once you get them on your heels, then you start doing the other stuff. It's like we never got them on their heels. And to me, that's the biggest difference between what I've seen this year and last year is that we don't get defenses on their heels. Like running, we're just cutting them up the middle. I feel like the game plan is a lot of time is to check it out, give what the defense wants, or give what the defense has given us. Take that. I just feel like at some point we got to be a little more aggressive and shoot it over the middle. And I don't know if it's like we're worried about throwing interceptions. I don't know if it's because we're not having enough time, but it feels like at some point we just need to play our offense. We got the skill players, let them go and do their job. And you can see what happens when we get the ball in our playmakers' hands. JMO made a move, got that touchdown. Laporta had multiple. That first catch that he had, he juked the guy out. Should have been stopped for a 6 or 7 yard gain. End up getting the first down. Get the guys the ball in space and let them do their thing. I just want to see them push on their heels.
Speaking of push and getting space, that was a really bad offensive pass interference by JMO. You know how bad that grinds my gears. We finally get the benefit of one on those, but I just hate that.
Yeah.
I cannot stand that full extension. Give me some room and let me catch this ball. Which the catch was great. The tiptoe and the dive in the end zone, that was great. It was a great play. In the NFL, that's how they call these things. They let the receivers get away with it. I don't like it anymore. But it kept us alive. It kept us in it.
Yes,
but
exactly.
If you look at the, we can do the film and just look at the pressures. Like I said before, there's a handful of these plays that I know one off the top of my head where Khalif is about to break open across the middle. And that would have been a decent, like he would have caught the ball maybe 6-7 yards away from the line of scrimmage, but then he had space to get open or, after the catch, to run after the catch. And then it was a sack because there was too much pressure.
Yeah.
There was a couple other plays, maybe Laporta on another one. The majority of the time, though, if you look when these blitzes are coming and you look at the receivers, there's nobody going to be open either. They're running hitch routes, they're running crossers, they're running plays that take time to develop, and we don't have that time when they're sending pressure like that. And I don't know if that's Goff not checking out of it. Maybe he's checking into certain plays, and that's why Gibbs, was in pass protection so much. Because no part of that makes sense to me. You got Gibbs in the backfield. Don't just keep letting him get beat up and have him blocking linebackers, especially in some of them were just free rushers. Ratledge completely blew it a couple times. Graham had a terrible game, but it's all stuff you're watching film, you're prepping for this game. You should have seen all this coming. There's just nothing out of the ordinary for them.
Yeah. I would say this is the first game that I looked at that, I mean, we've missed Frank Ragnow in all the games. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't missed him, but this is a game that I saw that, like, I wish Frank was in there because it would have been totally different.
Oh, yeah.
Had we had Frank. He would have called it. He would have had things set up better communication. It was.
I'd be calling Frank right now.
I
know you're hot. I know you're hot, man. I know you're good, but please come back.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's going to happen. But it feels like our defense switches things up quicker than our offense. It feels like our offense this is the plan and we're doing it.
Do you think
defense feels?
You think that has anything to do with the fact that Morton is in the booth? Because I've seen some people online say, like, why is he still in the booth right now with the struggles that we've had? The things like, should he not communicate with his players more and see what they're seeing out there, make those changes in real time? Do you buy into that at all? That he's calling games differently in the booth?
I don't buy into it at all. I think people are grasping at, they want to complain about something. They're going to look at, hey, what's different? That's the problem. I don't think so. I mean, they've asked John Morton about that. He says, I trust, he's got Brunell down there who's telling him what the quarterback's thinking. There's ways to communicate with Morton. It's not like they can't communicate with him. They got headsets. They could talk, I'm sure that there's ways to call up to the booth and say, hey, this is, if
he's
they need to talk.
FaceTiming them from the tablets.
Exactly. Yeah.
With his glasses like halfway down his nose, how he sits up there at this play sheet.
Yeah, with his arm on the railing up there.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. I don't buy into any of that, to be honest with you. I'm not saying it's not it wouldn't make a difference, but I think people are just worried and they're overblowing after a loss. It's like no one was worried after we just destroyed the Bucks, and then now everybody's like, I saw this coming, and we're going 5-12, and this is the worst thing ever. At least our quarterback didn't dislocate his elbow, right? After we're going 3, now they're 3-6, right? Talk about our upcoming opponent, the Commanders. Like,
how terrible
you talk
is that,
about
man?
Talk about sky is falling. You go from getting the NFC Championship to starting the season 3-6, and now your young quarterback is out indefinitely, and that's after you're down by 31 and you still have him in the game.
Yeah, that's when the sky is falling. If you come out and look like they did against the Seahawks and just get obliterated every single drive, you can't move the ball and they're just pounding it. Yeah. That's when you're in trouble. But I will say that, at the beginning of the season, this is one we had circled like this is going to be our payback game. Now they don't have Jaden Daniels, so now it doesn't feel as sweet, but it also is a must win. You can't lose this game.
Yeah. Nope. I agree. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff to clean up on this offense. A lot of it starts with if we could just run the ball. And if we did that, it solves so much stuff. So they need to figure that out. The outside runs this defense is pretty fast. So I agree with them not going out there, but there's this running game is different this year. They need to, and you can't put that all on Morton. Hank Fraley's the running game coordinator. He has a lot to say about this. So it's not like, oh, John Morton's in and we're doing that. No, Hank Fraley is the run game coordinator. He was doing all this stuff previously, he just didn't have that title. So now, he's in charge of all that. So, you could do attribute to changes on the offensive line. Yes, you could do that. Could you could say that, Dwayne Morton's calling it has something to do with it? Yeah, I think that that's true. But as far as like why this running game's not working, I think that's more Hank Fraley's thing than John Morton.
I guess that's true. It's also, I think, the offensive line play as a whole, outside of even just, Ratledge, Mahogany, or New. Panay, obviously doing Panay things, but I don't think that Taylor Decker has played very well, and I don't think that
Yeah.
Graham Glasgow has played very well. And now with these injuries, I mean, Mahogany's out. We don't know for sure about Panay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how were you
we
holding your
don't-
breath when you seen Panay slow to get up holding his shoulder? I was
I
like,
know.
oh God, please no.
I know. Yeah. I mean, it just shows that we were just getting beat up front. When our offensive line's coming up limp like that, that means that we're not inflicting the pain. The pain's being inflicted upon us. And that's not good. Just made me think when the Panay thing, when Panay got rolled up on or whatever, do you remember the phantom holding call? They called a holding on
Yeah.
number 61. Like,
That's who
where
he
did
was
that
blocking.
Yeah.
He was
I was
blocking
like,
61 on the Vikings, and I don't know what.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't a hold. He just manhandled him.
I don't know I was like, did they mean to call it on the defense? That was what I hold out for. Like, they had just, like, flagged the wrong, like, he pointed to the wrong thing and just heard it wrong. And maybe
Right.
that, I don't know, but it was just like the weirdest thing. Like, how did this happen? How do you call a penalty on someone on our team when that we don't even have that number on our team? That was
And then they
messed
had
up.
to, like, get together and talk about it again.
Yeah. It's like, how did these referee mistakes keep happening? It looks so unprofessional and so inept, and I don't think it wasn't like anything that cost us. I just think as the game of the NFL, you don't want that perception. It looks tacky and it looks bad. Like, I don't understand.
Right.
All right, man. Before we head out of here, we don't have much to talk about with our Roar Alert and Grit guarantees because we were terrible on them. You picked for the Roar Alert, Brian Branch. Like I said, rough game. Just did not seem like Brian Branch. I'm hoping that that's a funk and he just gets out of it because we need him flying up and making plays. And 2, Aleem McNeil. I said he's going to get his first sack. He did not. And he played 50 something. We paid, I think, 51 snaps. Yeah, 51 snaps in this game. So a lot of snaps. Didn't see a lot of production out of him on that. So that was disappointing. I said we were going to win the turnover battle. We were until Montgomery coughed it up, and then we were tied in the turnover battle. And you said we were going to hold them for less than 100 yards of rushing. Did not. I think they got like 148, something like that. So Aaron Jones had 78.
Yeah, I was
on his
pretty
own.
confident on that one too. They're not running the ball very well, and our run defense is top tier.
Yep, I agree.
They let me down.
All right. So I'm going to give you for our parting shots. I got 2 questions for you here. 1 out of 10. 10 is you're greatly concerned. 1 is you're not concerned at all. How concerned are you about the offensive line? So remember, 10 is like we're greatly concerned. 1 is no concern at all.
8.
8. Yeah, that's why I'm
really
in the 7,
concerned
8
there.
range.
Injuries.
Yeah, 7, 8.
I mean, we've got Arasika that's going to be filling in right on the surface. That just looks like what's going to be moving in there. But, the trade deadline, they're talking, do we trade for an offensive lineman? Dan Campbell didn't rule that out, but that just seems, unless you're getting Zeitler back, that just doesn't seem like an easy move to just pull another offensive lineman and hope that he's just going to come in and mesh. And, the concern is real, though.
It gets Zeiler, and then people will be pointing out that, we should have just signed him in the offseason. It's like admitting your fault. I know that there's an injury here that's a little different, but then you're asking Ratledge to switch sides,
right?
Too,
and then we don't know if that's going to be any better.
Right, exactly. So that's tough. But I'm in a 7 to 8. I'm with you too. There's a lot like this week. I'm not too much worried about the Commanders, but when we start getting, Eagles, definitely, start a little more pass.
I don't even want to think about the Eagles game. We go week to week here, and I'm focused on not blowing it against the Commanders. We need a bounce back game.
I feel pretty good about the Commanders, but I said I felt pretty good about this one.
Shut your mouth.
Keep my mouth shut. Out of 10, how concerned are you about the team in general?
About the team in general?
Yeah.
I'll say 3. Okay. I don't think I'm that concerned about the team in general. We still have a winning record right now. This year, it's really shown that anybody can beat anybody any given Sunday. small consolation prize that the Packers lost because they looked like crap yet again.
Yes.
Like they do
Mhm.
every week, if you ask me. The Packers played their best game against us. I
Yes.
do,
They
the
played pretty
Packers
good
seem to
against the
be.
Commanders the following week. I'd say that Thursday
They
after,
did.
because that's remember week 2.
Yeah,
They looked. I mean, they had Commanders had Jay Daniels. You didn't know what the Commanders were going to be at the time either.
right. Exactly. Now, hindsight, when you see how the Commanders have been playing and how their defense looks, then it's become less impressive. The Steelers game
Mhm.
actually last week that they were able to pull away, but that was I watched that one and that one was kind of fluky. But yeah, I have no concern about the Packers right now. They've looked terrible. I mean, if they come out and beat the Eagles, then maybe I'll start believing them a little more. I don't see any way that they're going to beat Philadelphia this week, but yeah, I mean, you look at the rest of the division, you look at the rest of the league. I mean, the 1 seed is still not out of question. All of that's still within grasp.
Yeah.
So it's not, I have no concern overall about the team right now. The sky is not falling yet. And as we've said before, you just have to make the playoffs. You don't have to get the 1 seed. You don't have to, obviously, you want to win the division. You want to host a game, but that's not all 100% necessary. So it's too early to say that the concern is really high here. But you, though.
I'm at a 3 or 4 too. No, I'm right in the same boat. I know it'd be better if I was at a 7 or 10 screaming in this microphone. Maybe that would get more clicks or whatever. But no,
Would be
I'm
better.
at a 3 or 4. I'm with you. There's not, I know the Bears won yesterday, but they gave up all those points to the Bengals. Like,
Right. And how did we do against the Bears? I mean, that's.
Yeah, yes, and the Packers have not looked good, and I don't see, and they lost Tucker Kraft too. That's a huge loss for
Yes.
them.
Right.
That I mean, I don't like seeing people get injured at all, and I never root for something like that. But the reality of that is that he is a safety blanket for Jordan Love, and he could get a lot of yards after catch. He always seems to get that, especially out on the flat for whatever their play design works really well out there. Or if the referees allow you to push off like they did on that play where
Yeah. That was
they
worse than the JMO
they
one.
versus Steelers. That was a floater ball up in the air, and Tucker Kraft just says, "Get out of my way! I want to catch this," and the refs don't say anything. Yeah, that sucks for Tucker Kraft, but you know, injuries are injuries. We're dealing with our own right now with mahogany and stuff, so it
If
is
they were
what it
being a
is.
realist, if Packers fans were being realist, though, that is a huge loss. Like you already said, it's tough. He's their leading receiver right now. He's always somebody that, their receivers for whatever reason just can't get open. They're not running routes well. They're not catching the ball well. They seem to time and time again have to rely on Tucker Kraft. So now that he's gone,
Yep.
they have to rely on these receivers who have not been playing very well. If Packers fans are being real, then they should be very concerned about the passing offense without Tucker Kraft. But there's
agree.
Packers fans on Twitter and everything that are already acting like their backup tight end is Luke Musgrave is just gonna pick up right where Tucker left off, and they're still gonna win the 1 seed and all that.
That's fine. Like you said, we just need to get in the dance. That's all I care about. Get in the dance, and we'll go. And then hopefully Mahogany be back by then. Who knows? Mal Frazier maybe at some point be activating him. We might get some other offensive line help. So we'll see. I'm not. Our schedule doesn't look as daunting as it did, at the
Right,
beginning of the
right.
season. I know the Philadelphia game's huge. The Rams game's going to be big, but Washington is much easier. The Giants definitely easier. Like I said, the Green Bay has not played well. We get them on Thanksgiving. Follow that up with Dallas. Dallas is 3-4-1, and they're getting creamed by the Cardinals right now. Then
But
you
if we only
got
lose
the
those 2 games, let's say you lose at Philadelphia and at LA, those are gonna be the toughest ones coming up.
Mhm.
The Packers game is gonna be at home, but then you got away on the road to the Vikings Bears. But let's just say those are the only 2 that we lose. 12-5 is a pretty good year, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Mhm.
on par with what we thought we were
Yes.
gonna be. What's
Yeah.
gonna be an issue is
No.
if we go into Washington and fall, and then all of a sudden the Philadelphia game looks like a must win. And then from here on out, it's like every game all of a sudden you holds way much more weight, and then they all become must wins after that. And that's the
Yeah.
situation you don't want, is that you're in week 13, 14, like, God, we've got to win every game from here on out if we even want a shot.
Right. No. I'm not as scared about the Philadelphia game as you seem to be.
Scared is
I
not the
don't know.
word, Jason.
Okay.
Do you remember
I would say concerned. Yeah.
what was the Texans? Was it Stephanie? What was her name? The
Huh?
Texans lady that we talked to. What was her name?
Stephanie. Yeah.
That's what I thought, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
You
Stephanie.
don't ever say that we're scared. No,
Yeah.
that's a winnable game.
That's
right?
right.
It's absolutely all
Yep.
these games are winnable games. But that's one of those ones that's closer to 50-50 because it's going to be a tougher game. Whereas if you ask me, this Vikings game was 80-20. Like like I said, 90-10. Like we should have won that
Yeah.
game and we didn't. And now you got the Commanders without Jaden Daniels. Also looks like another game that we should win more often than we lose.
Yep. I agree. So there's a nice person in our chat saying skull. So nope, you beat us, and yep, I give you your props.
They've earned that right. You keep saying skull until Christmas, and then we'll ruin that for you.
Yeah. Yes, right. That's gonna be our Christmas gift to you, for sure. No, dude. Glad to talk Lions with you. I know it sucks having this loss, but I'll be honest with you. The worst part about maybe not the worst part, but one of the worst things for me is that for the rest of the day I don't want to watch football. Like I do,
Yeah.
but I don't like get as much enjoyment about it. And like so it's like it takes away football for me. And so Lions losing is number one. Like that just sucks at itself. But the byproduct of that is I don't look as forward to watching like the Sunday night game or, in this case the 4 o'clock games. And even tonight, I'm kind of like I just want to get to the next game so we can win and then I can feel good about football again. So that to me, that's like one of the worst things about a Lions loss is that I lose interest in football for a little bit. And I tell you what, without this podcast, I probably would not like look at anything. Before,
Right.
Before we had this podcast last year, I would go into hibernation for a week and just like sulk in my feelings or whatever. With this podcast, it helps get me out of this comfort zone, and it probably helps me process things. I know it helped me process the Commanders game quicker than I would have. I know a lot of people went into hibernation until preseason started. They just didn't want to think about the Lions just because it hurt so much.
Yeah, it's tough. No, but I agree with that. It's really hard. That's why I don't like these 1 o'clock games anymore. We play at 1 o'clock, and then if we like this one, we lose. Like, oh God, I don't want to watch. I don't like turn off Red Zone. I'll check my fantasy team every once in a while. We'll go outside and play football with the boys or do other things like that. But yeah, it's definitely harder versus the win. When you win, you're just chilling the rest of the day. It's like whatever. We'll see what everybody else is into.
Everything feels good.
Right. That's why, next couple games, next week at Washington is going to be at 4:25, and then the following week, Sunday Night Football. So 1 o'clock, we'll still be able just to chill and watch Red Zone.
I know. So the decently nice thing is I had to work yesterday, so I sold my tickets. So otherwise, I would have been at that game, and then that would have been really depressing.
Sold your tickets to Vikings fans.
I might have, and maybe I'm at fault here because I don't know who I sold them to. I sold them at Ticketmaster. I didn't sell them to anybody I know. I'm trying to sell the Dallas ones
from
to
people that were
I know.
there. I've heard from people that were there that the stadium was not as loud. They were like, something was off. It just was not as loud as it usually is. Did you hear that?
Okay. Well, it sounded loud like right off the bat. I think the way the game started. I think
maybe
took it out of it. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I'm done talking about this game. So we'll move on.
Moving on.
We will be back on Wednesday night. We will have Command This podcast on. I'll talk with them. I feel bad for those guys. I like those guys. They're going to probably be depressed because of the way their team's starting out. And then also losing Jaden Daniels probably is the real bad thing. And then we'll be on their podcast on Thursday. So if you want additional talk about Washington, you could jump in and hear us over there. Those guys are a lot of fun. Their show's real fun to be on, so you could check that out. Just also programming update. It looks like we do have writers for both or content creators for both Philadelphia and the Giants coming up. So I'm anticipating, and we should have Green Bay and Dallas and the Rams. So the next one that we're going to be, we'll figure out is Pittsburgh, but we should have interviews all the way through hopefully the rest of the season. So outside of the Pittsburgh game, they're all covered. So that I know that people enjoy that. We enjoy talking to other people. So we got that to go. to look through too. So, and then remember on Wednesday, Jacob and I will on Thursday we'll release our NFL pod. So we got a new pod that we're doing half an hour where we do our grit picks on there, and then also
Special episodes.
just
Call them
special
special episodes.
Okay, special episodes. So I don't want to imply that we have
You
a
keep
separate
saying it's
channel.
a new pod. It's not a separate, right?
know.
It's just another episode that'll just, for people that are into that, you can listen to the episode. It's a shorter one. It's just about other NFL stuff. You know, if you're not interested and you just want to stick with the Lions stuff, then obviously you got this one that we're still just doing 100% Lions.
Yep.
Just special episodes. I didn't even realize what you titled it. What did you title the last one?
I don't remember. I think it was like we talked
New
about the refs, so
NFL pod?
I said NFL. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Man, the Minnesota fans have like gang up in our chat. We don't have any Lions fans in here to they're at least they're chatting back, but I'm done with them. So we're gonna end this right now. Jacob and I are gonna do all 22 maybe another time. Maybe we'll do it Wednesday beforehand. I got something going on with my family, and I think both of us just want to ignore what happened in this game. So we're not going to look at all 22 tonight. But
there's not too many positive plays that we want to dissect. There's just painful plays that could have been, and we don't want to dwell on it any longer.
Exactly. But for Jacob, I am Jason. Oh my God, hold on. I'm done with it. I'm done with the
read
chat.
It.
Okay.
Hang on. No, read it.
It says, okay, so the first one says, Lions just don't have what it takes. JJ is here now. I'm assuming JJ is JJ McCarthy, not Justin Jefferson. And now the Lions' reign is over, boys. You're still in last place in the division. And that's because Minnesota's fan base is unbeatable.
That part's laughable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's both funny, but
yeah.
Hey, it's just the same, the opposite ends, right? We're a really good team. We had a bad game. We lost. Now, we're feeling pretty low. They have not had a very good season. As you heard from their fans and everybody, they've been down in the dumps.
Yeah.
But they come out and beat a really good Lions team, and now they are on cloud 9. They already forgot they got blown out by the Chargers and are in last place.
Yeah, it was interesting because even when we were on the Let's Go podcast, they were talking about complaining about KOC. Like they were.
Yeah, right. Maybe they need to move on from KOC.
And no one Reef said, when we asked him about the tenor of the fans, he said that, they think the season's over. All of a sudden now they get a win, and it's, it tells you how week to week the NFL is insane. And this year, there just doesn't like Seattle. I know Seattle's dangerous. Seattle looks really, really, really good.
Right.
They look like they could win it all. They are the best that I've seen. But there's still a lot of football to be played left. So
we'll see.
Yep. So now all the chat's coming in. They wait till the end. We're saying we're going to leave, and then the chat takes over. That's all right, man. So, all right. For that guy over there, Jacob Litton, I'm Jason Harwood. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys. Go Lions.